How can I explain what people can expect from a lean implementation in their business?
It's okay, I might have a few goes at explaining it, and then, as people learn themselves, the answers become more relevant to them. If I was summarising what lean was in a sentence, I'll sort of start at the top. The business owners come to me, what's this lean stuff? My must come from Bunbury or somewhere. I say, well, mate, lean is just an attitude with the toolbox.
Yes.
That's my one line, and that's got probably 50 layers underneath it. But if I was summarising what it is, it's an attitude, which is a bunch of behaviours with a toolbox, and in that toolbox there might be statistics. In that toolbox there might be the ability to do value stream mapping. In that toolbox there's a mindset that you ask why 5 times. And I believe both of us have had young children earlier in our lives. Years ago when they were very young, they would just keep asking why. So, you need to go to bed. Well, why? Because you'll get tired. Well, why? Because we all get tired. Well, why? And children are very good at asking why 4 or 5 times to try and get parents to say the real reason. Don't know what the real reason actually is. You need to go to bed because I'm tired is probably the real reason.
People need to go back to being more inquisitive.
They do. And, when you think about what lean is and the attitude, those exhibited behaviours that you're showing is a sense of question. Some of the traps, and I've got a little flip chart here which you might be able to see on camera of all of the traps that leaders can have in the workplace. I'll read a few of the leader traps out. And I actually told you a lie there. I had the team membership traps, the team leadership traps. Feeling like you have to have the answer. How many times do we see business leaders who feel obligated to have the answer? Or it's sort of matched pair being the technical expert. So that business leader is the expert in chemicals, or the expert in carpentry, or the expert in food technology. And they're used to being that expert and feel that that's their role in the business. It's not to be the leader and draw out of the team what the answer is. It's to tell the team what the answer is. The not seeing it from the team member's point of view is one of those attitudes that a lean leader could have as a trap. And the team member feels like their job is under threat if you eliminate a lot of waste. What role do I have if you get rid of the job that I'm the only one who knows how to do it, and I'm actually the only one who knows that there's 7 ways that you can actually not need to do it. And ignoring the social and programming issues is one of the team leader traps. I can't flip a light switch and suddenly go from not lean to lean. It isn't that easy. It's hard. And the social issues, Cotter in change management back in the 90s, Cotter was a researcher who tried to break down what the 8 steps to managing change actually were. Talked about the social side as being that sense of urgency. So why should I stop doing what I'm doing and do something differently? I'm used to doing what I'm doing now, mate. So the attitude is half the solution of, well, what's lean and where to start. And the other half would be the toolbox, which is a whole bunch of scientific stuff. So one core idea that we've touched on a few times in the past is that plan, do, check, adjust, or as a lot of lean practitioners call it, plan, do, check, act. And do you remember why I call it adjust and not act?
No.
Schuhart in the 1930s called it plan, do, check, act. But when you think about it, you plan, then you do, then you check, and then you do again isn't quite the intent that he had.
Yes.
That so you're not planning, doing, checking, and then doing some more. You're actually adjusting the doing based on what your check pops out the other end. And we talked about driving a car once, and adjusting the seat after I realised that I'm too close or too far away from the windscreen. Well, I don't do that while I'm driving. I do that when I've stopped. So that's how I sort of internalise that plan, do, check, adjust. The doing is the driving. The checking is the stuff that I have done based on me getting in the car and having a look around, and then I adjust all the controls because my wife inevitably has the rear vision mirror pointing at the roof rather than out the back window. Now, when you're thinking about explaining lean, usually the first question you ask is, where do you want to be, or where are you now? And that's a question that a lot of business leaders can't easily answer. So spending a bit of time with people, lean is great. We'll sell you lean, no worries, mate. But understanding where are you now and where do you want to get to? And I had a client on the screen just before you, which I asked that question of, and she was like 90% of the leaders that we encounter. They sort of know that they should have an objective, but they haven't thought enough about it to be able to say it in a sentence.
Yeah.
So one of the easier things to do is when you get a client who's forced to do something by some external event.
Yeah.
So there's COVID-4 lockdown, I'm a tourist company and there's no tourists. I really need to do something straight away.
Yeah, it becomes apparent. But what about, like, for a lot of businesses, say over here, everybody's flat out?
In most cyclical economies, whether you're a commodity or you're a non-commodity, the price will go up and down over time, and it's the speed of the cycle that varies. So, the bulk commodities like Western Australia makes, iron ore and lithium and things like that, the cycle can be quite short. For the rest of us in the mega economy, the cycles are much longer. It might be 2 or 3 years of making cash like bandits, and then a gradual downturn where inflation goes up and the number of people able to buy a product goes down and things become a lot more competitive. Then there is this interesting concept about your clients, and if you've got more incoming demand than you can process, well, you've got 2 distinct paths that you can go down, and most business leaders would say, I want to do both, but let's convince them that they can choose one or the other as their primary. You could go down a path where you decide that you want to build in more capacity into your business to do that more demand. You certainly want to build in that capacity at the lowest price you can. Or you can use the capacity, the engine of your business, but you want to get the best margin out of your clients, or you want to focus on the clients that are the higher margin clients. So they might be ones who are willing to pay more, or they might be ones that it's a bit easier to service, so your input costs are a bit less.
So not taking every bit of business that comes your way and being a bit choosier.
Yes, and you don't be mean about it. But you could point out to some of your inbound demand, you're looking for something that is a bit more bespoke than what my business can offer. Have you considered going over here?
Yeah.
So, given that you're in West Australia, we use a West Australian analogy. The miners who do iron ore have a very similar problem, that up till recently, the demand for iron ore has been insatiable. As much as you can produce, mate, is the target. So what they do is they open more mines and they hire more people and they build in more haul trucks and dig units, and off they go. But what they discover when they peel back the onion a bit and have a pause is that that last marginal tonne that they produced, it costs $100 US dollars a ton, where all your other tons might cost 14 or 16 US dollars a ton. So those last tons aren't making you 100 US dollars a ton, they're making you 10 US dollars a ton. So, you begin to wonder, well, do I build in those extra costs, which become really sticky? It's really hard for me to hand back a haul truck. It's really hard for me to go and say, or say, Daniel, you're fired, mate. We just don't have the need for your services anymore. That's hard work that most leaders don't want to do. So, West Australia is a useful thought experiment, or for you, a real life experiment. For your clients who want to do lean, well, the question is, do you want to be more productive? So do you want to shake out some extra capacity from your current business? Or do you want to understand your business well enough that you know what your marginal profit per client hour or profit per widget produced actually is, and then pivot your business to producing those high margin things where the demand is, and shunting out the low margin stuff to the wider industry.
So is lean one of those approaches?
Lean is like a hammer that once you hold it, everything looks like a nail. So lean will work in both. For businesses that want to shake out more productive capacity, you're doing your value stream maps, you're looking for your non-value add versus your value add, and you're restructuring your business to shake out, maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 10% of the waste in your business, which most businesses means we're twice as productive. Most businesses are somewhere between 5 and 10% value add. So adding 5% to a 5% business has just doubled your throughput.
Mm-hmm.
The value stream maps in the same way are quite useful. You just approach them differently for working out what your marginal costs are. So you create a value driver tree as an example that says, well, to produce that widget, here are all the things that are input costs, here are the fixed ones, here are the variable ones, and this is my highest margin product, and this is my next one, and this is my next one. And for those clients, giving them that insight, well, I'll start making more of them then, and I'll stop making all of them then. And, you might see it in the IT industry. I don't know if you're an Apple fan. Are you an Apple fan, girl?
Oh, I'm not a fan. I'm a user.
But you probably noticed once you had an iPhone 6 that Apple stopped making them after a while. Then you got an iPhone 11 maybe, and Apple stopped making them after a while.
Mm-hmm.
If you strip them back, they've all got the same style of widgets in them, really.
Mm.
Apple's just taking what for them was a lower margin product and replacing it with a high margin product. I can make more coin off you selling you a new one and slapping an iPhone 14 label on it than you using your iPhone 6.
Mm.
I have no doubt Apple uses lean on their supply chain. I have no doubt that Apple's lean supply chain is more effective than 90% of the companies in the world. So it is a very effective approach for them.